Hello and welcome to the Club Freedom channel. My name is Clinton Young, international keynote speaker and coach for aspiring world-class speakers. And my new title that's coming up soon that I'm actually most excited about is Freedom Lifestyle Entrepreneur. Boom, can't wait to have this conversation with you because I know a lot of you that follow me are also seeking more freedom and more adventure in your life. That's why you're here at Club Freedom. I know a lot of you are going to be watching this on the replay, and I just encourage you to type in comments, ask me questions, reach out to my special guests that I have on today and get connected, because these two that I'm about to bring on are amazing individuals. Although I've just met them, I feel like I've known them for a little while because we probably have some similar values, I'm guessing. I'm finding that a lot of people in the RV community have shared values. And at the very least, we a lot of times value freedom and adventure. So hence Club Freedom. And here we are today. I've got two very special guests today. They're actually people that have come from a similar background to me. They're from the corporate space, right? And they literally are have spent over a decade with a little known company called Under Armour. I'm sure you've heard of them. Side joke there, not a little company at all. And they've really kind of put themselves through the paces and learned a lot about marketing. These guys are marketing and branding experts. So I'm sure I can learn a lot from them from that perspective. But after a while in corporate, much like many people, you know, they got a little bit tired of that. I'm going to let them share their story around that. And they were seeking more freedom and adventure in their lives and more opportunity. And so they struck out on their own. They have a marketing and branding agency and consulting firm that they work with clients around the country. I'll let them share about that if they would like as well. But more importantly, they struck out on their own. They went out, they got an RV, they sold it all, they got in the RV, and now they are traveling around the US. And I can't wait to hear about where they've been and where they are right now and what they're up to. So without any further ado, let's bring on Spencer and Christy from Adventurtunity family. Welcome to the Club Freedom Show, Spencer and Christy. So great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Clint. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, you too, man. I'm so excited to meet people like you. You guys are my heroes. I just said that off screen. You're doing what I want to do and I'm going to be doing in 2 months with my wife. So let's dive right in. And definitely right out of the gate, if you're just watching this right away, I know people will join as we continue to go on here, and a lot of people are going to watch the replay. Make sure you follow my wife and my journey at Club Freedom Live. But also today is really all about the two folks on screen right now. I want you to make sure to follow Spencer and Christy on Instagram at Adventurtunity Family. You can also find them on YouTube, and I'll put that link up there later. It's basically the same thing. Just look for Adventurtunity Family on YouTube. So I was watching one of your YouTube videos today about your RV purchase process. Yes. And I have to say, literally, the reason I was like this when you first came on, I don't know if you noticed that, is one of the RV dealers called me to tell me that our dream RV that we were about to purchase just sold to someone else. So no. I had to shake off that little bummer, thing that happened there. We were going to drive out to the Phoenix area literally Saturday in 2 days and go and probably buy that RV, and it just sold. So a little bit of a bummer. So I want to hear definitely about your experience. But before we jump in there, Christy, you mentioned something right before we got started about what does the Adventurtunity family really kind of stand for. And you didn't necessarily say that, but you said this cool phrase. You said, seek adventure and embrace opportunity. So tell me a little bit about the meaning of that and where that came from.
Sure, absolutely. When we decided to become a full-time travel family, it was really all based on family coming first. So being in corporate America, while that time was fantastic, it isn't a 9 to 5. It is a 9 to 9 to 11. And we had a sweet little boy, and we're missing a lot of the time that is so important when they're growing and they're developing. And when we decided to prioritize family, we knew we loved taking that 10-day, 12-day vacation every year. We really had this thirst and hunger for adventure. We loved doing crazy things. But we oftentimes dismissed the opportunity to do it because we had work, we had deadlines. we had a full event calendar of hanging out with friends and family. And a lot of times our work travel were on weekends, so we wouldn't even have the weekends. And we kind of pumped the brakes and said, there's another way. There is another way to living. And when we really realized this is we went to New Zealand and Australia for 6 weeks. And they have a very different mindset as to how they look at holidays, how they look at 5 o'clock, how, I mean, just very different. And when we were really able to immerse ourselves in that culture, we started having the conversations as to what changes can we make to bring family time as our focus. But then also to take it a step further, we asked ourselves one question. And the question was, if you have everything you need to make a change, would you? And it turned out we did. And so that was our moment that we said either, get off the pot and make something happen or stop talking about it and just stay in your lane. And first step was we called a realtor and we put our house on the market.
Wow. So Spencer, oh no, go ahead, Christy. Something else.
And I was going to say, and then that's really like, it was all about, once our house is on the market, this is about adventure. This is about finding every opportunity, taking opportunities for our family, for our connectivity as a family, for engagement, for experience. And Spencer loves to say, like, you're taught to follow your dreams as kids, but like we're showing our kid to follow his dreams. Like it's possible to do so.
Boom, boom, drop the mic right there. That's amazing. Love it. And Spencer, I would like to see if you want to add anything in specifically about, like, I'm curious, how long were you guys talking about this before you decided to make the leap? And if anyone's just joining us, I know someone just joined us here, feel free to leave any comments or questions for Spencer and Christy. They've been traveling the US in an RV with a child and a dog for how long now? How long has it been? About a year?
Almost 7 months.
7 months. Awesome. So how long were you guys talking about it before you decided to make the leap?
Not super long specifically about this. That trip that she talked about to New Zealand and Australia was in 2019. And that's really what got the gears started turning for this lifestyle change specifically. But we had been talking about goals and dreams since we've been married. We've been married almost 9 years. And we had, things that we wanted to achieve later on in life, but we realized that as the years went on, we weren't actually taking steps to get closer to achieving those goals. And when we kind of, like she said, kind of called BS on ourselves, it was like, okay, then now we have to do something. We have to make a change. And I like to say we had to go all in because we didn't want to just dip a toe in, find out that the water was cold, and then decide not to go. We just said, all right, we're selling our house. We're buying an RV. We're going to do it. And if it doesn't work, we can always fall back on the skills that we've developed in our careers if we need to.
Right.
But if we don't ever do it, there's no way to go back in time and remake that decision to do it. So
I'd like to interject a little bit there too. When we decided that the house, right? Like that's the American dream. Own a home, own a single family home, the white picket fence, all the things. And we had that. We had this beautiful home. We had a great neighborhood, lots of fun things to do, but it was weighing us down. And so that was the first step, was we put the house up for sale. And then our realtors, we were in shock. They were like, this could sell tomorrow. Like, you don't have to do anything. I was like, oh, whoa, we thought we'd ease into this, change a carpet, paint a little, but it was apparently ready to go. And with that, we thought we were going to move to Raleigh, a little bit slower, family, friends, the little Southern comfort down there. And when we went to go look at homes, it just didn't feel right. It was just exchanging one landlocked location and all the things, all the stuff that don't really mean anything that you shove into your home for another home. And then that's when we started talking, like, our spirits are just ready to experience life. And in a way that we've never done before. And it's scary to let go of that home, to sell all your things. Like, it's definitely not for the one.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love it. Well, we've got Alex. Oh, Alex. Hey, my man, Alex. I know Alex. Yeah, Alex Cabrera says, just joined. Way to go. Who else have you connected with who are like-minded? I think it's maybe a question for me or maybe the community. Yeah, would love to connect Ashley with myself. And if you feel it's relevant, connect them over to Spencer and Christy as well. Alex, thanks for joining the show here. Let us know if you have any questions for myself or especially for our two guests here today. All right, awesome. So let's bring it back about 7 months ago. We're going to bring it right back to that selling of the house. So it sounds like that was the first step, getting the house on the market. And then when did you start looking for an RV? And walk us through kind of like, what would you recommend? What are the top tips you would give to people that are out there like me, that I'm ready to buy an RV? Like, what are some tips you would give? Like things to look out for? I know you looked like you started looking at a Class C and ended up with a Class A. Like, walk us through how that all happened.
Yeah. So first of all, we are complete RV newbies. She grew up camping with her parents, and they still have a travel trailer. So there's a little familiarity there. I had never, ever in my life.
You hadn't even really, you camped like one time, right? I think I saw in one of your videos.
Yeah,
as a kid.
I was, and that was when I was 10 on a youth group trip or something.
Nice.
But it was something that we kind of went into somewhat blind. I did a lot of research online, and she kind of knew what she was looking for just based on what she had seen. But for us, the timing of everything was very strange because we decided to do this at the end of 2019. Yeah. We sold our house in March of 2020, and then, as everybody knows, the world went nuts. So we actually didn't buy our RV until July, and our initial plan was to leave in July. So we kind of did the whole thing. We did the RV show before everything shut down. That was in February of 2020. Right. And that was, I think, where we kind of realized, or where I think you wanted an A class the whole time. Yeah. I was on C class because I was going to be driving it. Go ahead.
But I would say before, like, to answer your first question, before you get into the details, I think buying an RV or a vacation home is just like anything else. You're buying a home, you're buying a car. It's overwhelming. There's tons of options. Yeah. You should go in with 2 or 3 must-haves. If you've got a list of 10, 15, 20 must-haves, your buying process is going to be painful and long.
Yeah.
Because there are only, and right now RVs are very popular. So they are going fast. And if you've got a 20 item checklist, like, you're probably not going to find the perfect one. So I suggest find the most important criteria that you need to enjoy your vacation, enjoy your lifestyle, and focus on those 3. And then other things are a nice to have or a bonus.
That's really good. So focus on the top 3 things that are the must-haves. Like for my wife, that would be washer and dryer. And I'm going to ask you in a minute, is that important? Do you have one? I'm curious, why don't I ask you that real quick? Do you have a washer and dryer in yours or no?
We do not. We are able to.
We have the hookups for it, but we
thought we were going to get one.
Okay.
But we are not. And here's why.
Talk to me.
The first reason is the one that we can have is the combo. So it is the washer and the dryer.
Right.
And we would be with a kid now being in winter, like the heavy bulky clothes. We also have a lot of white items in our RV, so they get dirty quickly. We'd be constantly doing laundry, but we can hit a campground laundry facility or a laundromat and do it in a few hours. Plus, whoever gets to go to the laundromat gets a break. So you can either work, just read a book, listen to a podcast. You get a little bit of alone time, which is nice.
I got that. Okay, awesome. It looks like Alex is still active here. We've had a couple new people join. One person just dropped off. But if you are just joining us, we are with Spencer and Christy from Adventurtunity family. Definitely follow them on Instagram and on YouTube. And we're talking about how they've been traveling the U.S., and we're going to get into some locations in a minute, for the last 7 months with a child. So if you have a kid and you're saying, I can't do that because I have a kid or I have a dog, they got both. Okay, so drop that excuse at the door and listen in. It can be done. And Alex says he's talking more about this Ashley Logsden. Mama says namaste, which is kind of a cool.com. That's her website. So she's traveling. Okay, he's just telling us a little bit more about who he was referencing earlier in the conversation. And he's talking about the RV entrepreneur family. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Definitely want to meet her for sure. I'd like to interview her as well. But back to Spencer and Christy here and the buying process. Okay. My wife, again, she feels washer and dryer is a must have. And then enough storage in the inside we're not going to bring a lot. We're not those people that are going to bring like 10 years worth of clothes, right? Because we get there's not room for that. But the placement of the drawers and the placement of the wardrobes, we feel is somewhat important if we're going to be there full time versus, it's different full time. So talk to us, anything else you want to share about the buying process and how you chose and how you bought?
I would also say, I feel like when you buy a home or a car, like you feel a sense of comfort going through a RV dealer or a home, like an agent. And sometimes when you buy a car outright or you buy a home from the owner, you get a little bit nervous. We used RV Trader, and that's where we found our RV, and we bought it directly through from a private seller. And our process was great. So I would say too, if you find that RV, like don't negate going through a private seller. Definitely trust your gut on those things too. But we had the best experience, and we went through.
Questions for you on that. Thank you for bringing that up, Christy. Just put up your YouTube channel as well. Just definitely seek them out at Adventurtunity Family on YouTube. Okay, so with the buying process, going through a private seller, I found that a lot of lenders, they won't give you a loan if you're buying through either a private seller or even a RV that's being sold on consignment, which is kind of like an intermediary salesperson. They'll only give a loan if it's bought through a dealer. So did you guys use a loan? Do you mind sharing that? And if you did, was it not a problem? And who did you use? Because I can't seem to find it. It'll go through private.
We did finance it.
I think they specialized in RVs.
Yeah, it was a financial arm of a bank that specialized in recreational vehicles. So whether that's an RV itself, a boat, or like side by sides or things like that, they specialized in loan products for those types of vehicles.
Got it.
I will have to get back to you on what that company's name was because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Because they then sell.
Then the loan gets
passed on.
Once everything's processed.
But he was like a broker.
Yeah.
So it was a RV, like it was a brokerage where he then would go out, he found us a couple of options for our financing, and then we got to pick the one that made the most sense for us.
Yeah. What kind of percentage are we looking at? What kind of
interest rate?
Yeah, interest rate are we looking at on those loans?
I think it was high fours.
That's really good. Okay.
Now this was almost a year ago, so it's probably lower than that now. I don't know. But yeah, so I would just say shop around. If the bank that you do most of your banking with won't provide a loan for that type of vehicle, then there are people that specialize in it as well.
Got it. Okay, cool. So now when we talk about the actual RV, like what were some of the things that you thought were going to be so important, the must-haves, that maybe you found out later weren't as important? And what are maybe some of the things that you didn't think were that important and you're like, man, I wish we had that? Do you get the question? Both ends of that.
I don't think that I don't necessarily know that we have one that we're like, oh, this was so important and now it's not, because our criteria was very, very small, and it was a bunkhouse for our son. We wanted him to have a room, a special place, like instead of converting the table or the couch into his bedroom every day, like that was number one. It had to have a bunkhouse, and we absolutely love his bunkhouse, and so does he.
Nice. Any other must-haves that you had, or was that the only one?
Well, now I do. We have a 37-foot Holiday Rambler Vacationer, which is an A-class, looks kind of like a bus, and it came with an extra bathroom. So we have a 1.5 bath, and I don't know that I would have known that RVs have 2 bathrooms, but it is absolutely necessary now to have 2 bathrooms. when somebody's in the bathroom for a longer period of time, it is nice to have that. It's also it's also nice when we have friends over or we're entertaining in the RV because of our layout. Our bathroom, our master bath with the shower is all the way in the back. So you have to pass through the bedroom area to get to it. But we have sliding doors that we could partition that off and they can use the half bath.
Yeah,
So
that's so cool.
Total didn't expect that, but now is I will look for that if we were to ever have
so 2 bathrooms is a must-have. Okay, what about you?
And I was saying, well, I was going to say I agree with her, and especially you had a question from somebody who was talking about can they do it with kids, and that second bathroom, the more people you have in the RV, obviously the more bathrooms you have, the better. So I'll agree with her on that one.
We also have a residential fridge, which I had never seen before. Not that we looked at fridges very often, but in the travel trailers I had growing up, they were more smaller an RV fridge, and it's fantastic. Like we can have tons of fresh food. We can have meats frozen. Like the residential fridge is amazing.
Yeah, that was one of the comforts of home that we were able to.
It also makes it feel more like a home.
Yeah, totally. Now the Rambler that you said, the Holiday Rambler, that's a Fleetwood, right?
Yeah, it's in the family.
They're part of the same overall group.
So 37 feet long. What's the model number? Is it a 36 something or a 37 something?
36H.
36H. Okay, because I want to be able to look that up.
Yeah, Vacationer 36H.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen that before. What does the front living room area look like? Is it kind of like the 35K? Do you know that one where it has? Do you know the 35K by chance?
I'm not familiar with that specific model. It's a sorry, what?
So the Bounder 35K, I'm thinking it might be like this, where it has kind of like a separate living area where the TV is kind of angled on the side of the bathroom. Is that not how it is?
No, ours is a little bit different. When you walk into our coach, you walk straight into the couch from the steps. So we've got a linear couch, and then we have a linear kitchen, which was also something after looking at RVs, I really liked a linear kitchen. Mm-hmm. There's some that kind of L out, but I feel like that takes up too much of the walkway space for me personally. But you walk in and the couch is across from the kitchen. And then the eating area or the dinette where we are actually right now is across from the residential fridge. And then behind us, is like a TV area. TV and below is a fireplace.
Got it. So you're in the slide area right now, right?
Yes.
Right in that corner.
And so the dinette and the couch are both in the slide out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking at a floor plan online. So this is very similar to the 35P model, not the 35K, but the 35P, which is the one we're looking at. And I'm curious, what is I know some people don't know what I'm talking about. Just Google it. They're different floor plans. But when you have the couch where it is and the TV where it is, where do you find yourself sitting to watch TV? Because I find that it's kind of the TV's in a weird location. So how do you get around that? Where do you sit to watch TV?
So both of the front seats, the driver's seat and the passenger seat, swivel. Okay. And so when we have a movie night, the way it kind of ends up is Christy and Cade will be laying on the couch, looking at the TV, and then I'll usually hang out in the driver's seat, kind of spun around, so we can still be sort of next to each other in the same area. And then the driver's seat, once it's swiveled around, faces directly towards the TV.
Okay.
Good thing is we don't watch a lot of TV.
Well, that's the beautiful thing.
Right. But we have a ton of TVs in here too. So we also do movie nights, especially having our son. It's fun to do movie nights in the back bedroom with a TV right across, and we have popcorn. And when it's nice outside, we have a TV outside. So we do movie nights with popcorn and blankets and camp chairs with campfire, which he loves. Yeah, we hosted Super Bowl outside, which was really fun.
Oh, that's killer. Where were you guys during Super Bowl? Oh, I'm sorry, you were going to say something else, and then tell me.
We were in Arizona,
yeah,
outside of Sedona.
About an hour from Phoenix.
And tell us all where you're at right now.
Right now we are in outside of Moab in southern Utah.
Okay. What do you love the most about that location right now that you've been there for the last couple of weeks?
Yeah. I mean, I will say we love the West. The southern Utah, Arizona border is fantastic. There's just so much different landscapes, character, trails, jeep trails, hiking, water. I mean, anything and everything you could want as an outdoor enthusiast, it's there. So
and there's lots of it.
Yeah, we've just loved this space. Now, we've been in Moab for about 10 days. We actually loved where we were. We showed up late.
Right.
I'm a planner, so I like to have our reservations. We know where we're going all the way through mid-August. We plan ahead. Now, we've met some other families that totally boondock, fly by the seat of their pants, decide the week before where they're going. For me, that would give me like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I watched one of your videos on YouTube where you were like, "We're going here, and then we're going here, and then we're going here, and then we're going here." I was like, "Whoa, that's awesome!"
Yeah.
So you were going to say
a massive spreadsheet that I have filled out with all the information. We run a pretty tight budget, so we also share that monthly. So I manage our budget on spreadsheets. Like the planning is level up that I have is like
let's talk about that, because a lot of people, when they think about doing this, they're like, well, I can't do that. It's going to cost me, $10,000 a month to go and live in an RV. So what does it look like? And I know it's so like, there's so many variables, right? And everybody has different tastes and whatnot, but for, let's say, the average, like, what does someone have to consider in terms of like amount per month? Are you paying less than you did when you had the sticks and bricks, the house, or are you paying more? You're paying less.
We're paying less. Yes.
Okay, so that's ding, ding, ding. Anyone who's I know there's 3 people watching right now, and there'll be a lot more watching going down the road here. We're actually following Spencer and Christy right now. I've got obviously my Club Freedom Live up right now. Definitely follow us there, but I want you to follow their journey at Adventurtunity Family as well on Instagram, and talk to us about that planning process when you first got started. Like, how did you make that choice in the financial? Like, how are we going to make this work? Like, how did you guys do that? And how much can you expect to pay on average? I know that's a lot of questions rolled into one, but
yeah. We share our variable expenses. Everybody's expenses, like health insurance, your car payments, do you have student loans? Like all of that is a monthly, your fixed expense that happens monthly, the same every year, is going to be different for everybody. So we share the variable expenses. And so that is roughly about $3,500 a month. And what that covers is lodging. It covers RV gas. Our vacation or our motorhome is actually regular gas. A lot are diesel, but we just use gas. So, but our RV gas, our Jeep gas, maintenance, we have a maintenance budget. We have dining out, groceries, souvenirs, miscellaneous, entertainment. I'm trying to run down. And so lodging, for example, an average camp night might be $50 at a campground.
Mm-hmm.
So we averaged $1,300 a month. And what we found is a lot of campgrounds offer a weekly rate. So if you buy 6 nights, you get the 7th free. And then by accident, we found out monthly rates exist. And so one, we like staying at a place a little bit longer just so we can play, work, relax. And the monthly rates are extremely affordable. So we've paid as little as $500 a month, up to, I think the most expensive was in the winter. It was maybe $800 plus electric. So it worked out to be $1,200. Right. But we've never gone over our $1,300 budget in lodging.
That's great.
Which has been awesome.
That's great.
One thing I didn't like, and your budget is your budget, right? Either know what money you have to work with, or you just try to stay within your means. And when we first got started, we love campfires. You're camping, you want to have a campfire. I did not have a firewood budget, and we were just burning through buying firewood. And so we had to add a firewood budget. We do our laundry out, either at the campground or at a laundromat. So make sure you have quarters if you're doing that. But our laundry budget is $80 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really, we just think about everything and we tweak it when we need to. It's like some of the budgets, we had a little bit more money, but didn't need it. Or like entertainment, I didn't give us enough for entertainment, but it is expensive to have some experiences and excursions.
Right.
So we bumped that up a little bit. We pulled the firewood budget down, and we've learned as we've gone.
Yeah, where your expenses go. And I think people can manage their budget to the way they want to live. And I've seen people be as low as like $1,500 or $2,000 a month, and people be as high as $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a month. It really just depends on how you want to live the lifestyle. And like Christy said, you know what your monthly expenses are and what you can manage. But it really is kind of what you make it.
If you stay at state parks or national parks, you can usually stay for 2 weeks. It's like $14 a night.
Yeah.
If you're camping on public land, it's usually free. Boondocking, that means no hookup, so you don't have water, electric, or sewer. But there's tons of ways that you can make your budget work for you. You have exactly what you're all about. You have so much more freedom when your home is on wheels. When home is where you park it and you get to choose where you park it and how much that costs you, you have a lot of freedom with your budget.
Talk to me more about freedom overall. Obviously, there's the financial side that you're talking about, the budget side, but where else does freedom show up? Is there an experience of freedom just in general? Talk to us about that.
I would say in kind of what we do. She talked about where we go. We can go where we want to go, when we want to go.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the biggest ways freedom shows up is in the fact that we can go and do some of the fun things, the national parks, the hikes, the excursions on weekdays. We have the flexibility with our schedule to be able to do those things on the weekdays when it's less crowded or when it's less popular. And that ends up being a better experience for us because we get to enjoy it how we want to while we're there.
Totally. That makes
another
a lot of
thing
sense.
too. We built a learning center, so we have a wall in Cade's bunk area where it is a whiteboard, a magnetic whiteboard for him to learn. We really want to make sure that we are not hindering him in any way by the life decisions we've made. And we try to do school with him a few hours in the morning, maybe a craft or something like that. But what's really great is the freedom to decide what we teach him. And really, we get some fundamentals and then we go outside and we can show him bugs, animals, how to hike. He's a phenomenal hiker. When we first started, we carried him in our packs we had a hard geared hiker piece that he'd ride in. And now he's full on mountain goat. And there's so much learning and experience that comes with that you don't get in a classroom. And so being able to have the freedom to show him the world and show him so much at 4 years old is heartwarming and just really makes us very proud and fulfilled of the decisions that we made.
That's great. He must be having such a ball.
He's thriving. He loves life. Actually, so much so that when he doesn't want to do his schoolwork, I say, okay, I guess we're going to have to go back and get a house. And he's like, no, I'll do it. Like,
wow.
So, yeah, he's all in.
That's great. Now, you guys are both entrepreneurs, right? With the marketing and branding agency and consulting firm. And of course, some influencing, being an influencer in the space and all that. But where do you guys work? Because that's the biggest concern my wife and I have is, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach. I do a lot of Zoom meetings, which I know I'm going to need to probably get a Wi-Fi booster or plan them on like certain weeks out of the month where we know we're going to be in a good spot. How do you guys do that in terms of Wi-Fi and also just living quarters? Like, where do you work? Because there's not like an office in an RV typically.
Right.
So what do you guys do?
Yeah. And that could be potentially a must-have for somebody is some sort of space that's either an office space or one that they can convert into one.
We've seen a lot of families convert dining spaces or other areas into an actual office.
Yeah.
We feel we're still pretty good with what we have. We've got a pretty big dinette, and we've got, you probably can't see it, but got plugs in the ceiling.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah.
outlets are everywhere. You don't have to worry about the power part as long as you're hooked up to electric. In between our driver's seat, we also have like a little table,
A pedestal table,
and there's tons of windows up there. So when it's sunny, it's really nice and bright, and I don't know, I would say like happy to sit up front because you just have like an amazing view, especially when we're parked in a great location. When you have battery, we can work outside, just like outside of our RV in the fresh air, and sometimes by the water. It's just really nice. And we do have what do we have? A hotspot. Yeah, we have a hotspot. We do call ahead to campgrounds to make sure that they do have Wi-Fi. We have learned that is still a hit or miss, even when they've had it. We were in one location, and we both had to drive 20 minutes into town and park in a parking lot and work for a few hours. So there are those times where you do have to get creative. There's some other services out there, and you can speak to them more, that you can purchase, and we're looking into them, but we just haven't done it yet.
There's a website called Campendium that rates different campgrounds and campsites. Yep. And on there, you will have a user-rated level of cell signal. And so that's kind of one that we look at and evaluate some of the different campgrounds that we go to make sure that if their Wi-Fi isn't strong, that they still have cell signal, that we can use our hotspot and the hotspots on our phones. And like she said, that's worked for us up to this point decently, but I'm definitely looking into a router and a larger data plan, just so that we can worry about running through our high-speed data.
Yeah.
So that's the issue, is the speed. Even though you've got the connectivity, you can work almost 3 times faster than what your computer can do at certain areas, which is very frustrating.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of people get Wi-Fi boosters, and they literally have like a little antenna on their roof, and they've got a Wi-Fi booster. So they've got that. And then I've heard some people get, like, one of the people has Verizon, the other person has, AT&T, just so you can have multiple options and hotspots just to be covered. And then of course the Wi-Fi at the locations where you're going. One of the things we were thinking about doing is planning. My wife's a big planner as well, Christy, and literally planning like most of our calls to be a week out of the month. Like every month we have 1 week where we do all of our coaching calls. And then that week we can go, and maybe we even get like a co-work space in a city, right, for a couple days out of that week, and get all of our stuff done, all of our coaching calls, all of our Zoom calls. And of course we'll have some from time to time, but then we'll be able to just take off and go for, 2 weeks and not really worry about it as much. So I don't know if that sounds like a good idea, or if you guys have done anything like that.
That's the freedom aspect of it, right?
Yeah. Right.
You guys can work your calls and your Zoom meetings around the schedule that you want to have, or around your Wi-Fi location. And that's part of it. That's one of the best parts. We can do the same if we're in an amazing location and we want to spend the next 4 days just exploring, like, we can try and work our stuff around that.
Well, except part of our platform is sharing everything we do.
So, right.
Be able to get to Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube and all of that. So so I do want to ask you, I want to get into some locations, because I know that's the sexy part. Everyone wants to hear about the locations, what's your favorite spot and all that. But a couple bullet questions. We're going to do a bullet round here really fast, and then we're going to dig into some stories. So stick around if you're watching. We got Spencer and Christy from Adventurtunity family. Make sure you follow them on Instagram and YouTube. So first of all, we already talked about the washer dryer, but I want to just say one more time, I want to get your response. Is it worth it if you were to have a washer and dryer stackable, do you think? Or is it still better to just use that space for something else and just take all your laundry to the RV park and just get it done in one swoop? It's hard to say because we don't have one. I would say the stackable would probably be at least
Better.
more beneficial because you could have 2 loads going at once.
Yeah.
There's also the 2 of you guys versus
The extra kid and the dog. Yeah.
yeah. But
you do have to consider the space that those machines do take up. So
yeah, totally.
it is a nice to have in terms of that functionality, and you can do your laundry whenever, wherever. But they are going to take up a considerable amount of space in an area where space is somewhat limited.
Recommendation would be like I don't know, it depends. I guess, are you looking to buy one with it in there already?
Yeah,
or
we are.
Yeah,
we were.
If you do that,
looking
and you don't know it without it.
You probably can't, right? You probably can't go wrong with it. And if your wife, if that's her, you should stick with it.
It's important to you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've been married for 12 years as well, so I'm right up there with you guys. I know how that works. Okay, the next bullet question is friends over. And you talked about entertaining people in the RV. I've heard mixed reviews on this. I've heard some people say, nope, RV is a sacred space. If you ever have friends, have them come along and rent an RV, and they get their RV, you get your RV. When people come over, just hang out outside. And then I've heard other people say, oh no, make sure you have a bed so people can come and travel with you for a week. And I'm going to sneeze in a sec here, so I'm going to go on mute. But I'm curious if you could talk about that, entertaining and having friends maybe that come and join you on your journey. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it also depends on your personality, but we are huge entertainers. We used to do that all the time when we had a home, and we're always the more the merrier. But when you live this lifestyle and you love it, you want to share it with everyone. Yeah. I mean, we're like left and right, whoever, open invitations, you guys can come stay with us. And I would never want someone to miss out on an opportunity to see some of these places because they maybe didn't know or want to get an RV or financially be able to get a hotel near us or anything like that. And especially when we've been together, we miss our friends, we miss our family. Like, we just want to soak them up. So we're like, yes, come, and you're going to stay with us, and Kate's going to cuddle with you.
Where do they stay normally? I know you guys have the 2 bunk beds, right? But that's where Kate is. What else? Do you have a drop down in the front?
Both. We do not have that model, but both our table and our couch convert into beds. My parents have stayed with us once, and then we had friends come out the couple weeks ago, and they did rent a home. They rented a small home, but the kids took turns and had sleepovers.
Nice. That's great. Okay, cool. Well, we're firing through these bullet questions, and we're going to get into some juicy locations here in a moment. We talked about the monthly. Just to recap that, you had said, obviously everyone has their own kind of fixed expenses that you can't really control that. But as far as some of the things like lodging, the gas for the RV, the Jeep, I want to talk about the Jeep as well in a moment, maintenance, groceries, et cetera, entertainment. And I don't remember what this other one was, but I can't read my own writing. But ultimately that was you said about 3,500 can be comfortable in that range, and you're spending $50 a night. So you're staying at relatively decent places, right? That's like decent.
So I would say we're not saying $50 was like the average when we came up with a 1,300, but we're trying to spend 500, 700, 800 because that gives us a little bit more money that we can repurpose for maintenance if needed, or experiences, food, dining out. But 3,500 is definitely living pretty comfortable. We've seen a lot of families that spend less, but we stay at a campground. We like full hookups. We enjoy boondocking, but that's not our main lodging. So you could definitely save more money there. And if you do go to our Instagram, each month we show you what our budget is per line item and then where we came in. So what we actually spent each month.
In YouTube?
In our Instagram.
Oh, in your Instagram. Okay. Is that in one of the posts in there that we can find?
It is. It's a slider. Well, we can show you where some of them are if you want to see. We usually have like a post, like a picture, and then it slides into our template for our budget. And then we talk about how we netted out. Like March, we blew the budget, but we got a puppy.
We got a puppy. So, do you do that every month? You put a post in there every month?
Every month.
Oh, okay.
Every month.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, everybody check that out. I know I'm going to be checking out that. You can find that again at Adventurtunity Family on Instagram. Okay. So now last question before I jump into the juicy locations is, when you want to document your journey, which I do as well, and I have one potential sponsor already for the trip, and I know you guys are talking about some influencer stuff. You want to document the journey regardless, even if you just wanted friends to see it or for you to have a documentation of it. I know you're on YouTube, and I know that each one of these social medias has a certain level of responsibility and time management. So I'm curious, what have you found, like, and you guys are marketers, you probably have all this dialed in, but if I were to choose one, what would it be? And tell us a little bit about like has been your experience in choosing the different social medias to utilize to document the journey.
I think it depends on your goal.
Yeah, true.
We are hoping to monetize our journey, and we built our Adventurtunity family to scale and become a business eventually. And while we're not necessarily sharing or know exactly what that will be, we have some really big business goals down the road.
Cool.
So YouTube is great and Instagram is great, and they're an awesome foundation for the beginning of your brand and as your brand continues to grow. But what you own is your website. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube can change at any time. They can change the rules. They can change what you're allowed to do. But on your own blog, you own your audience and you own your content there. So if I were to say I was journaling something, I would probably journal on a blog. If you want viewers and you want to share, I would go with YouTube if you're a video. And if you want to drop a video once a week, once a month, every 2 weeks, if you are in it and you're ready to share every day, then that's Instagram. Instagram isn't something where you can pop up here and there and receive a benefit and an engaged audience unless you're showing up there daily.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for breaking that down. Okay, so let's get into some juicy locations. I know you're in Utah now, and it's beautiful there. Where did you start out? Where did you guys launch from? I don't remember where you said you lived initially.
We launched from Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. All right, walk us through your journey of the last 7 months with just the high points, and we'll finish out on this and any last things you want in the next like 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
There we go.
Sure.
And how did you choose? How did you choose too? Like we talked a little bit about that process before.
We did have a couple of different routes that had to get modified because of the stipulations going on in each state at the time that we were leaving.
COVID,
we were hoping
COVID
to do
stuff?
right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We
Talk to us about that too. The whole COVID process. Cause people think they can't travel during COVID and you guys are doing it. So
yeah. Yeah. We have not really seen, you're outside a lot. So we have not really seen a lot of hurdles or issues. It was a little bit more heightened when we left in September. Like Maryland was on a list, like the New England
the
East Coast was a little bit more strict at the time. So we took off and we went to Pennsylvania, and I found this really amazing resort. We also do document our travels on our website under destinations, and we share the campgrounds and about the towns we visit there. But we found a really cool resort. It was called Keene Lake, or it's called Keene Lake. And they just had a beautiful lake. They had paddle boats. They had horseback riding down the road. Just a lot of fun activities. And so my whole thing was, this is new. We better go to a really fun place so we're not shocked. So I'm not shocked as to how drastically different it was. And we wanted to ease into it more like a vacation style and then evolve into, this is now life. This is the new. And so then in my research, I found that there's a Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. I didn't know. So we checked that out.
There is one.
We went to Lake Erie. We took a road trip up to when New York allowed people to come in. We went to Niagara Falls for a day.
Nice.
Then we went and saw what's really great is we both actually have our own brands that we've created communities through Instagram. And so we've met in real life now some people that we've known for years through our travels.
Oh, cool.
So we met up with a bunch of families in Pennsylvania. We saw some friends in Ohio. We met some friends in Kentucky, and just so amazing to meet in real life and then see our kids play with their kids. And It was just,
That's
it's
cool.
been phenomenal. And meeting up with people that you wouldn't maybe necessarily take a vacation to see or see on the regular, but now that we're in their general area, it's easy to be like, hey, we're here. Do you want to grab dinner, a drink, meet at a park, something like that? So that's been really fun.
Speaking of that,
we did Nashville for a week.
Just a quick side note.
ahead.
Do you guys do a lot of cooking, or do you go to restaurants? Like, what would you say the percentage is just before you go to Nashville?
We cook 95% of the time.
Yeah.
95?
Again, this is, we cooked at home. We enjoy eating out, but that's more of a treat. That wasn't our lifestyle. Also in corporate America, when you're traveling and you're hosting, you're eating out a lot. So when we would come home from trips, we're like, we just want to be home and we want a cooked meal.
Totally.
So we do a lot of cooking. Again, with the residential fridge, we can control like eating healthier, having more fruits and vegetables. We are huge on supporting small businesses though, and supporting the town. So when we do eat out, we always make sure it's at a local restaurant, something that's recommended by a local, or giving back to the towns that we're visiting.
That's
so
great.
We do enjoy that. We actually love donuts, and we do a donut tour. So we go to local mom and pop donut shops, and then we rate them on their donuts. And so that's just awesome. Kind of something fun and unique we came up with.
That's so cool. Those are the things that like, that's like your, not tradition, but your ritual. Those are the things that you do that are kind of special that you get to do on the road. So talk to us about some of the most exciting places you've been to. I know you started going on the journey there of some of the locations. What have been some of your favorites so far, and why?
Niagara Falls was definitely amazing to see. So, and then while we were there, we did a jet boat ride. A little bit downriver, there's a company that you can jump in a jet boat, and they take you through some pretty serious rapids in a jet boat. That was fantastic. So that was an awesome experience.
Sedona was phenomenal. If you love hiking, if you love the mountains, like that is a sweet spot. There are just so many incredible hikes there. Even south of Sedona, we went into Phoenix and Scottsdale a little bit, and to see the saguaro cactuses for the first time. We've never seen that. So we were like a kid at Christmas, kind of like, cool. Oh my gosh, they're so big and so cool. And so we really loved that area. Page, Arizona, which is where like Horseshoe Bend is, Lake Powell. There's a place called Lone Rock, and we loved it so much. We've been back 3 times, and we just boondocked there. We were Lone Rock Beach. Lone Rock, Lone Rock Beach, and you can boondock there. You can camp actually on the beach. And so we had a few nights in between campgrounds, and my heart was set on boondocking there. So we were like, I finally convinced Spencer, let's try. We did 3 nights. We loved it so much. We stayed 7 and arrived late to our next campground because it was just so fantastic. And we met other families there and then we started hiking with them. We're doing group dinners together. I mean, it was special. It was really, really an amazing
that's on the list.
So, it's and that's near Kanab, Utah. We did a lot of slot canyons, a lot of Jeep trails. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Wave, but the Wave is a very, very magical place. It was the top of my bucket list. We were so lucky and fortunate to pull the day before lottery, and we got to do that. And that's near that area.
So only like 20 or 30 people a day get to go.
Is that the one of your images that shows the rocks that it looks like water? It looks like a wave. That's epic.
Yep.
Yes. So far, like the Zion, Bryce, Page, Arizona, Kanab, Utah, into Sedona, like that whole region, Grand Canyon, although we skipped the Grand Canyon. We'll get there eventually. But it's easy to be like, squirrel. There's just so much to do there. But that's been our favorite.
That's cool. Well, I love that because that's where we're starting. We're actually in July. We're heading to, if it's open due to COVID, we do have reservations at Havasupai Falls, which is at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
That's where we're going to kick off. And of course, we leave the RV at top, we go down, and that's like a 10-hour hike.
Oh,
Have you guys
yeah.
been there before?
We
No,
haven't, but we've heard about
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're kicking off there, and then we're going to Canyonlands, and we have reservations at Canyonlands in Utah. And then from
Nice.
Okay.
there, we're going to beeline out to the Tetons in is that Wyoming? Yeah, Wyoming, and then Yellowstone, and then we're going to a pickleball camp in Wyoming at near Glacier National Park. So we're going to end there,
Okay.
and then we're
When
cruising
will
out to
you
the East Coast.
When will you be in Glacier?
Glacier, we're going to be there the end of July. Yeah,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
yeah, like mid to end
So
July.
we might be able to meet in real life.
That would be
We will-
amazing.
Yeah, we'll be in the Tetons
Oh,
in
cool.
June. And then we hit Yellowstone July 1 through July 13th timeframe. And then we're in Glacier July 13th through August 13th.
Oh my goodness, we are so going to meet. in
I love
Glacier.
it.
So you
That's
said
good.
July 13th. You have it all planned out. I love it. Through August 13th.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely need to meet there, and that
Yep.
would be amazing because we're going to be there for probably two weeks ish, and the pickleball camp is in Bozeman, which is a little
Oh,
further
Okay.
south.
We head there after that.
Okay, cool. We're going to be there like the last 3 days of the month, and then we're going to cruise out to see my family in Massachusetts and my wife's family in New York, and then we'll probably go
Nice.
south after that to like Florida or
Yeah.
whatever when it starts getting cold. But yeah, that's
That
cool.
sounds
We'll
awesome.
see you there.
But I will say we had our route too. Make sure you leave
Oh, yeah.
yourself open to opportunities to go other
Totally.
places because we totally diverted from what I thought we were going to
Oh yeah,
do.
I say beeline. We're going to probably be like, oh wait, we got to go there first. We got to go there first.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
miss so much. Oh, one thing you should look up the Ark Encounter.
Yeah.
It's in
Ark
Kentucky. The Ark Encounter, and it's
Like Noah's Ark.
a real life size replica of Noah's Ark, and it's an immersive experience, like you're actually on the Ark. It goes through what it normally or how it could have actually happened or did happen. It's phenomenal.
It was
So
amazing
I've definitely
experience.
looked that up, and if you guys are headed anywhere that way, do it.
It was about an
Yeah.
hour south of Cincinnati in Kentucky.
My wife has a national franchise called CPA Moms, and two of her franchisees are based in Kentucky. So we're definitely going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And
There
my
you go.
influencer mentor, Allie Lewis, absolutely Allie on Instagram, she is in Kentucky as well. So I got that down as a must see. I got Lone Rock Beach down as a must see. I've got a lot of things. I'm going to rewatch this and take more notes.
Yeah. Wait,
Is there any
I
other
have
must sees?
Yes, one more giveaway. Harvest Host. Harvest Host is, if you haven't heard of it or signed up, sign up.
Yeah.
I have,
Send
but
you a link
explain
to
it
that
to the
stuff.
viewers. So they
Okay,
all know.
so Harvest Host is a program that you can become a member. It's about $80 a year, and you can stay at any participating business one night for free. So there's distilleries, museums, breweries, restaurants, wineries, and you just call ahead. You can download an app or use the website. You call ahead, you make sure they have a spot for you, and it's free. They just ask that you give back to that business. So do a tasting, take a tour, eat dinner. We've met the coolest small businesses and small business owners and products and services that we would have never known about. And by far our favorite membership that we have.
That's awesome. Any other memberships that you would highly recommend, or any other like tips and tricks that you want to leave us with as we close out? Gadgets, whatever. Hacks.
Yeah, we are Good Sam members as well. We haven't used a lot of the benefits, but there are a lot of benefits, and I know that some people utilize a lot more of those. You get a discount at certain campgrounds, and we have our roadside assistance through that, which we've used once for our Jeep. So that's a really good program.
There are so many resources, though. There's a ton of apps. Like we talked about the Campendium. There's, I think it's rev.gov is an app for
recreation.gov.
Oh yeah.
For
like campgrounds, boondocking, things like that too. And there's tons of memberships. There's like 1,000 trails we're not a member of, but could look into that. They have a really good platform. We are KOA members, but we don't stay at KOAs very frequently. But it has paid for itself.
Passport America. Have you guys checked them out?
I have heard of it, but I haven't looked into it.
I just watched a video the other day and they said that was a really, really good one. Like a lot of amazing campgrounds. You might want to Google that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And last question that just came up from one of the things you said was your Jeep. So we were considering getting a Jeep, but Jeeps are kind of like pricey for just to buy a used car to pull. And we're thinking of maybe just getting a little like Chevy Spark, a little tiny car that we've also heard is a good towable car. But like, do you recommend, because having a Jeep would be badass. Like that's the number one way to go if you can, but talk to us about that real quick.
I was a big advocate for getting a Jeep. One, because it's a vehicle that we both liked, but it's one that we never would have probably gotten just because it's not a practical everyday family vehicle.
Right.
But this is not a practical everyday journey that we are on. So we decided that, Jeeps are great to tow behind an RV or behind a motorhome. They're super easy to flat tow. And we knew we were coming out west, which is where all the awesome, fun off-roading Jeep trails are. And so I would say that if that's something you want to do, if you want to get into a little off-roading, if you know you're going to be in spots where traction is important, we've definitely been in snowy, muddy areas that.
Well, I will say too, though, there's been trails that are extremely hard to get to.
Yeah.
Like there's things you won't be
Like
able to do
trails.
unless you have a Jeep or a good 4-wheel drive, or you rent a service to take you there.
Yeah.
Like White Pocket was amazing, but that was a 20-mile Jeep road to get there, which even in the Jeep was kind of gnarly. It took us 2 hours to do the 20 miles. It was pretty crazy. So there's definitely there are the fun Jeep trails, but there's also amazing experiences that you can't get to
in a regular car. Yeah. And you don't have to get a Wrangler. Most Jeep models are easily flat towed. So even if you don't get a Wrangler, if you want to look at like not the Compass, but the Cherokee or the Grand Cherokee, and they're also all pretty capable off-road. So they could get you to some of those hikes that she's talking about.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I have had so much fun talking with both of you, and I could literally talk to you for like the next 4 hours. And I have so many more questions that I didn't even ask, but we've been going for over an hour. We got a couple people hanging out for the whole time. So thank you so much for joining us. Definitely follow Spencer and Christy at adventurtunityfamily.com. Be sure to follow my wife and our journey at Club Freedom Live as well. And check out their YouTube channel as well. I know I'm going to be watching a lot more of your YouTube videos. You guys do a really good job with the YouTube videos, by the way, as well.
Thank you.
What's like the last parting advice for somebody that's maybe on the fence about taking the leap? What was that last thing that you would say to them right now for Adventurtunity?
Just do it. Do it.
Okay, just do it. What else?
You can't go back in time to make the decision when you realize you wish you had. So do it now and go for it.
I mean, we really looked at it too. Like, we will never regret this time together. Money can be made or earned again. You can buy another house. We really sat down and what's the fear? What's holding you back? And what's that fear? And if that fear happens, what is the worst?
Yep.
And once you realize we could stay with friends for a few months, or we could, whatever your fear is, and you problem solve through that, then there's really,
it removes the barriers.
Yeah, there shouldn't be more reason to hold you back. And it's just go. And now's the time to live.
Now is the time to live, and you won't ever be able to regret. Like you said something like this is what I got. You won't ever regret going, but you might regret not going. You probably would.
Yeah, not knowing what it would have been like if you did it.
Yeah, I love it. And our boy Alex here comes in saying, yes, visit Horseshoe Bend.
We did 3 times.
We did, yeah.
3 times. Yeah. All right. Is that the same place as Lone Rock Beach, or is that a different place?
Yeah, they're very close. Yeah.
I mean, Horseshoe Bend is beautiful. But Lone Rock
is epic.
Lone Rock for me was
Lone Rock is
like,
jaw
yeah.
dropping.
Horseshoe Bend is pay $10, walk a mile, see something awesome, and there's tons of people. Lone Rock is a massive
Like a
rock
movie
in the water. You can swim, kayak, boat. There's a huge beach. There's lots of space. Like,
Oh,
very,
so checking
very
that
cool.
out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Let's definitely stay connected. I want to see both of you. I would love to see you guys in
real life.
in real life, yes, in Glacier National Park area, and go out and play some pickleball. If you have not played pickleball yet, oh my goodness, it is like the most addicting sport ever. It's like tennis and ping pong had a baby, and it's a really cool baby. Okay.
We've played
It's-
both of those, so we probably like that.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. It's way easier than either one of those sports. And it's like you get exercise without feeling like you're exercising. And the last thing is there's community that's very similar to the RV community. Very, very, very cool community all across the US. So I'm a huge advocate of pickleball. I've got a pickleball sponsor, Napipo. They're awesome. They provide me with paddles. And I love introducing people to the sport because it is so much fun and you'll meet so many amazing people. And why not? You're RVing. You're probably going to have it at a lot of the RV parks.
We're
check it out.
up for everything. So
All right. We'll have to play some
definitely do
pickleball when we meet up and do some hiking.
Sounds
good.
great.
All right. Thank you so much. And remember, follow Spencer and Christy's journey, the Adventurtunity family. I'm learning so much from both of you. I learned a lot more today, and I can't wait to get to know you even further down the road. So have a wonderful rest of your day and safe travels, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks for
you
having
too.
us, Clint.
Bye.
All right.